Are you ready, Emma? Ava appeared at my door, wearing her favorite nightgown. She was grinning from ear to ear, clearly excited. Tonight, we were headed to an event she had described as the weirdest you'll ever attend. About a week ago, Ava, my roommate, asked if I'd like to join her at something called the Ghost Auction. The name immediately hooked me the second it left her lips. I'm sorry, the what auction? I asked, frowning. Ghost, she replied. I lived in a shared apartment with two other women. Ava and I enjoyed binge-watching horror movies so much, while Lily, the third one, avoided anything remotely spooky. Despite our differences, Ava and I bonded over our love of horror. It started with movies, but soon escalated. We visited haunted houses, wrote a script for an indie horror film, and even tried an Ouija board once. Our horror-related experiences got weirder, darker, and creepier each time. So you can imagine my excitement when she asked me to join her in attending the Ghost Auction. It sounded more bizarre, unsettling, and, as expected, had to be creepier than all of our previous experiences combined. It's an event where ghosts, or spiritual entities, are placed inside glass tanks and auctioned off to the highest bidder, Ava explained. Define best ghosts, I said skeptically. I mean, they were ghosts. I have no idea, she replied. That's exactly why I was curious to attend. What I just explained to you was the only information available on the event's website description on the dark web. Our journey there wasn't easy. We had to follow a strict set of rules. We switched cars several times, each driven by someone from the event's crew. All the windows were painted black, so we couldn't see where we were headed. By the time we arrived, I was thoroughly disoriented. The building was like something out of a movie. Everyone was dressed in tuxedos and gowns, like they were attending a high-end gala. It was surreal. Ava Calloway, invitee number 201, asked the man guarding the gate, scanning a list of names. The one and only, Ava replied confidently. We walked in after the man pinned a red, strangely shaped ribbon on her dress. Why didn't he pin one on my dress too? I whispered. Because the invitation is under my name and I'm allowed to bring a +1, a companion, she said, with a shrug. In fact, she added, I have to bring a companion. It's mandatory for the first-timer's invitation to be accepted. The main hall was breathtakingly grand, like an auction house for priceless art. I couldn't believe so much effort was put into bidding on ghosts. The ghosts themselves were displayed along the walls in cylindrical glass tanks about the size of a 1-liter soda bottle. Each tank had a mechanical lid on the top and bottom, as if designed to keep something dangerous from escaping. Inside, each ghost floated like a misty, translucent figure. Each tank contained only one ghost. I examined them one by one, dead curious about how they were different. What made people willing to auction for them? How are they special? I asked Ava. They just look like regular human ghosts to me. Sure, they seem to be of different ages, races, appearances, and attires, but that's about it, from what I can tell. What's special about them, Ava replied, seeming excited, is simply the fact that they are ghosts. Ava grinned. Emma, imagine having one of these in your house, on a desk next to your TV. When guests visit, they won't see a goldfish in a bowl or a cat in a cage. They'll see this. How many people do you know with a ghost as a conversation piece? I had to admit, it was a strange and intriguing idea. We took our seats in the front row, right near the stage, where the auctioneer would soon present the ghosts. As I settled in, I realized I needed a quick restroom break. Before it starts, I think I need to get to the restroom first, I told Ava, as I stood back up. Take care of yourself, Emma, she said, her tone oddly serious. In our 3 years of friendship, I'd never heard her sound so attentive. In the restroom, I was inside one of the stalls when 2 women entered. Their voices echoed as they chatted right outside of my door. "It's really crowded tonight," one of them said. "There are a lot of new invitees today," the other responded. "Aren't there just about 12 or so?" "The new invitees, yeah. But they have to come in pairs to be accepted for their first event, remember? That's how it was for us back in the day. So that makes 24 in total." "Oh yeah, I remember now. It was so long ago for us, I almost forgot." I could see their heels through the gap under the door as they washed their hands and adjusted their makeup. "It's mandatory to bring a +1 for you to be accepted to attend your first event," one of them continued. "Secrecy is everything," her friend added. "We all have to hold the same secret to make sure nothing gets leaked." My chest tightened. Something about their conversation made me uneasy. "Yeah, understandably," her friend replied. "For our first invitation to be accepted, we first-timers are required to bring our very first future ghosts with us to this event. Our companion's soul would be extracted at the event, turning them into ghosts and placing them inside a small glass tank. We first-timers are only allowed to watch, not to participate in the auction." My blood ran cold. "But we are allowed to bring home a souvenir, though. The companion we brought to the event, we are allowed to take them home as a ghost inside a small glass tank." I shivered. Horror consumed me almost instantly. One of the women continued speaking as they turned off the faucet. "I still have mine at home. I've always liked the small woods on the outskirts of San Antonio. It's quiet there, peaceful, and far enough away from everything to feel like my own little world. I'd go there a lot, alone, just to think or wander. It wasn't much, a patch of trees, some trails, but it was mine. Nothing strange had ever happened there. It was just the woods. At least, that's what I thought. That day started out normal enough. I was wandering deeper than I usually do, curious to see what was beyond the familiar trails. The air felt different, though. Heavier somehow. I didn't think much of it until I saw the hut. It stood there, half hidden by the trees, like it had always been there, and I'd just never noticed. It was small, maybe 5 or 6 feet high, made entirely of sticks, branches, and vines. The roof was sagging, the walls uneven. But that wasn't what made me stop. It was the skulls. They were everywhere, hanging from the trees around the hut. Animal skulls mostly, but some looked human. Each one had a pentagon painted on it in what looked like blood. The sight of them sent a shiver down my spine. I should have left right then and there, but something about the hut drew me in. I stepped closer, slowly, feeling like I was crossing some invisible line I wasn't supposed to. The inside of the hut was dark and cramped, lit only by a few candles. Black, blue, and red wax dripped onto the dirt floor, filling the air with their faint, acrid scent. In the middle of the room was a flat stone, and on top of it was a book. The book's cover looked like leather, but not the kind you'd find in a store. It was rough, almost organic, and covered in strange symbols I couldn't read. I don't know why, but I felt compelled to pick it up. The second my fingers touched it, I heard it, a branch snapping outside the hut. I froze. It wasn't the kind of snap the wind makes. It was deliberate, like something or someone was out there. My heart started pounding as I strained to listen. Then, another snap. Closer this time. I panicked. Gripping the book tightly, I turned and bolted out of the hut. The moment I stepped outside, I heard footsteps behind me. Heavy, deliberate, too loud to be human. My breath caught in my throat as the sound grew closer, each step shaking the ground beneath me. Then came the breathing, deep, guttural, and impossibly close. I didn't look back. I couldn't. All I could do was run, crashing through the trees as branches tore at my face and arms. My lungs burned, my legs screamed, but the footsteps didn't stop. I saw the edge of the woods ahead. My house wasn't far. I pushed harder, sprinting faster than I ever thought I could. The second I stepped out of the trees, the footsteps stopped. I collapsed onto the grass, gasping for air. When I turned back to look, the woods were silent, empty. I haven't gone to the woods since. Last week, my daughter Alice came out of her bedroom in a crying heap. She'd learned through Instagram that her best friend, Hannah, was having a birthday party. There were videos of kids dancing to Sabrina Carpenter, eating chocolate cake, and telling jokes. Every girl in their class had been invited. Every girl except Alice. My daughter is a pickle and can, admittedly, react poorly whenever the attention isn't on her. She's also the sweetest, most dedicated companion anybody could ever hope to have. She'd even made Hannah a personalized scented candle with a photo of them giggling on the side as a gift. I knew Hannah's mom, so I sent a text asking her to explain the situation. Then I told my baby, the center of my entire universe, that we'd have a yes day instead. Basically, I'd say yes to any request within reason. And so we took a long walk along the beach, splurged at an old-school arcade, had dinner at Alice's favorite Mexican restaurant, and finished up with a spa night and ice cream. While this boosted her spirits, now and again, her attention would drift back to her phone. Then all that warmth and joy would get zapped straight out of her. The birthday girl's dear mother replied with a dozen lame excuses. Blah, 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 behavioral issues, blah, 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 aggressively lashing out. I had never been so insulted, so I didn't dignify her with a response. To wrap up our yes day, we watched Yellow Jackets in bed with 2 cups of hot chocolate. Unfortunately, that was right when the other girls were settling in for a slumber party at Hannah's place. After Alice cried herself to sleep, I gave her a big, extra-long hug, and seeing her red, puffed-out eyes set a storm raging inside me. It made me want to walk down a horrible path. The next morning, as Alice sat down to breakfast, her eyes went larger than dinner plates. All her friend stories were paying tribute to the girls at the party and some terrible accident. After a fire broke out at Hannah's place, 5 partygoers died in their sleeping bags, choked by all the fumes. Hannah's parents never made it out of their bedroom. Only Hannah managed to escape. Although by the time the fire brigade arrived, her eyeballs had melted out of their sockets. She's still in critical condition at the hospital, and my baby is insisting we go visit as soon as we're allowed. Now Alice is saying she wants to visit Hannah and gift her the special candle she had made. I told her not to worry, though. I'm sure a naked flame is the last thing Hannah wants around her right now.